Tensions are rising in the Haitian capital, Port-au-Prince. Demonstrators angry over the cholera epidemic ignored pleas from health workers to stop violence that is disrupting treatments. Protesters blocked streets and attacked foreign vehicles. The upheaval comes just days before national election. UN officials say the violence is being encouraged by forces that want to disrupt the ballot.
Haitians are no strangers to protest, but while over 1 million still live in tent cities and now cholera is broken out, the Haitian presidential elections this Sunday are particularly fraught. 19 candidates are campaigning. Some are now calling for delays. How does it all look to former Haitian President Jean-Bertrand Aristide, currently in forced exile in South Africa? Filmmaker Nicolas Rossier went to Johannesburg to find out. He conducted an exclusive 2-hour interview with the former president just last week. We're going to play an excerpt in just a moment. But first, I'm happy to have Nicolas joining us here in the studio. He's an award-winning independent filmmaker, and his latest film include American Radical and Aristide and the Endless Revolution. Nicolas, welcome to GRITtv and congratulations on great work. I love both those films.
Thank you for having me.
Haiti today, what do you think is going on in terms of the protest? Is there a more sinister force behind what's happening, trying to stop the elections, or is it simply people's frustration at the state of their lives?
I think people are very frustrated. I mean, they just came out, after one of the most horrible earthquakes in the world, and now there's this cholera story right now, and people are extremely frustrated. They're tired. They are hungry, and a lot of Haitians don't see the UN as a very positive force in Haiti. So
the rumor is that it was Nepalese UN peacekeepers who might have brought cholera.
Right, and it's been officially confirmed that actually the cholera actually came from a contingent of Nepalese soldiers that were seen, according to some witnesses, dumping waste into a lake. So this is actually the official version since, I think, 2 days ago.
Yeah. But as Aristide says in your interview, the spread of the cholera, the fact that it is claiming as many lives as it is, thousands already, has everything to do with the state of Haiti more broadly.
Well, Aristide claims, as people know, that he was kidnapped in 2004 and that he was forced to resign by person of the U.S. Embassy. And he doesn't see, obviously, the UN as a very positive role. He sees the UN as having put a legal face, if you wish, to the overthrow in 2004. So he's obviously very suspicious about the positive role of the UN. And so are a lot of his sympathizers, and that's the official version also of his party, who is actually not allowed to run in this next election.
He also sees, as I said, sinister forces at play in these protests. Take a quick look at everybody at Aristide's interview with Nicolas, and we'll come right back. We're going to play much more in just a bit.
The minority of the Haitian people, the elites, political and economic elite, they're afraid of free, fair, democratic elections. And their allies, foreign allies, don't want elections. That's why they excluded Formula Vallas, while they pretend they will organize elections. As long as they refuse to respect the rights of every single citizen to participate in free, fair, democratic elections, they will not fix the problem.
Why isn't Aristide in Haiti?
Well, according to him, he's not allowed to move out of South Africa, so he's not basically allowed to go back. And I think in the interview you see the exchange between me and him, where I tried to challenge him on why he's not allowed to go back. And there's these funny moments where I felt that he was nervous to explain the whole reason, but basically one of the technical reasons is like he's not been able to get a new passport, diplomatic passport, and since there's no, nobody sends him this passport, and there's no Haitian consulate in South Africa anymore, then there's no practical way of him to go back. There's also, he tried to get an eye surgery in Cuba, was not allowed to go, so he's basically in some kind of a résidence surveillée, house arrest, and it's ironic because what he says also in the interview is that the Haitian constitution doesn't allow political exile, yet he and other leaders before him are in exile. So it's a kind of a very ironic situation where his party is still one of the most popular parties in Haiti. He's not allowed to run, and his national leader is in exile, enforced exile, but has not been yet indicted of anything. So,
do you think the people in power in Haiti today, insofar as they are in power, have good reason to fear Aristide and the Lavalas movement?
Well, they have their own reasons, whatever reasons they are. But basically, since his departure, his party, which is registered, by the way, has never been allowed to run. So they've been denying his party many times before, and this is going to be the third time or fourth time.
But you, having interviewed him, having listened to what he has to say, and knowing his role still today in Haitian politics, do you think that those in power have reason to fear Aristide if he were to return?
Well, he's been criticized for many things, and a lot of critiques have not stuck. Other ones maybe should be explored. But I mean, he's a Haitian, national resident. He should be allowed to go back and be part of a dialogue. Because unless you address these questions of the past and you don't want to go into political dialogue, my sense, and that's why I was interested to interview him, is that if you don't find a way to heal these divisions, I mean, he's still one of the most popular leaders, if not the most, still among poor Haitians, which is the majority of Haitians. If they don't want to address the healing question and don't want to include his party, even though he has said in the interview that he was not going to be involved politically in any official capacity, they have to include, him and his party anyway, because unless they go through political reconciliation, they're not going to have political stability. If they don't have political stability, they're not going to have economic development. If they don't have economic development, they're not going to be able to create any wealth. So it's a vicious circle, and a lot of people, even in the mainstream, admitted silently that he has to have some kind of inclusion, but it's kind of like hidden under the rock. Nobody wants to talk about it.
Well, I thank you for going and talking to him and bringing back this critical interview. It's a 2-hour conversation brought down to a 1-hour full-length interview. We're going to play 8 minutes of it right here and include a link where you can see more. Nicolas Rossier, thanks so much for joining us.